to take a company from roughly about $10 million to about $100 million over a 3-year period. It was 2 hours away, so I started immediately, leaving my family, my children behind with my sister, until we could move up as a family. After a week of 12-hour days and evenings looking at neighborhoods and schools and rental homes, I got in the car, drove back, and I was beat. Luckily, my daughter had just received her driver's license and was eager to drive me the final hour to our resting place for the evening. I lied back in the car, sat back, kind of closed my eyes, felt the car going back in reverse, and all of a sudden, the car is in park. I look up, and I think, what's happening here? She looks at me and she says, "Mom, you were hired to take the company from 10 million to 100 million over a 3-year period. You've been there for a week. Did you get to 11 yet?" What our children do to motivate us is amazing. My name is Bea Wray, and I'm here to speak with you today about what Harvard taught me, but my kids made me learn. My name is Bea, not because it's short for Beatrice, like you might imagine. My name is Bea because, thankfully, my Georgia Tech superfan parents decided that Bea was a more appropriate name than Yellow Jacket. Parenting decisions matter. After Georgia Tech, my dad had the opportunity to have his dream job. He was working in Atlanta at the Ford Motor Company plant where they made the Torino sports car. This was ideal for him. He didn't care about the long nights and the terrible hours because every night he got to drive home a different car, sometimes a hot red one, sometimes sort of a black sleek one, white, whatever. My mom, on the other hand, was really struggling to make friends. She had my brother and sister, age 5 and 3, and myself in the womb. Too bad it wasn't a womb with a view. My mom was out snapping her beans while my siblings were playing on the yard, and she was waving, trying to make friends. Nobody stopped. A couple days later, she'd be out on the walkway knitting or snapping more beans and waving. Nobody stopped. Before you know it, she's down the driveway, sitting in the cul-de-sac, and no one wanted anything to do with my poor mom. Well, here we are 50 years later, and she is dear friends with all of these neighbors. But eventually, she asked them, "What was up? Why did you not connect with me?" And they said, "Honey, this is a family neighborhood. There you were with 2 children, one on the way, and entertaining a different man every night." What those neighbors thought about my mother was not true at all. I believe that what you and I and society think about parenting and how it relates to business careers is also not true. We think of parenting as totally irrelevant to business careers, where we readily accept that a business degree defines and shapes a business career. We treat parenting more like it's a black spot on a LinkedIn profile. I had the privilege of taking 6 years off to be at home with my children. And when I came back to work, I was terrified. Did I have any skills I could offer? What could I do? I landed a great job where it was quite demanding, and we helped over hundreds of companies. And they were constantly saying, "Thank you for that introduction. Thank you for reshaping our business. Thank you for helping us with venture capital." And I thought, what am I doing? What am I doing that's actually helping these people achieve their goals? What skills do I have? And then I asked the more important question: where did I get those skills? And the answer was not that I had attended the Harvard Business School, and it was not that I had been an entrepreneur for 20 years. Over and over, I saw that my skills in collaboration, in communication, in strategic planning came because I am a parent. Sheryl Sandberg says that our career paths are not linear like a corporate ladder, but rather that we consider a corporate jungle gym, if you will. Our job is to, wherever we find ourselves on the jungle gym, to learn and grow in that spot. I'm here today to illustrate that parenting is a valid spot on the corporate jungle gym. And I invite you to consider joining me in recognizing that women do not have to wait till their late 30s to have children. They also can return to work in meaningful jobs should they choose to do so. Sandberg shares another observation that I think supports both of these conclusions, perhaps indirectly, and it is that men who do more laundry have more sex. So what did Harvard teach me that my kids made me learn? Harvard taught me about long-term investing. My kids made me learn that helping a sea turtle find the ocean allows her to return 25 years later and lay her own eggs. Harvard taught me the importance of focus. My kids made me learn to turn off our cell phones. Harvard taught me about business efficiencies. My kids made me learn that cooking one egg casserole for the week is easier than standing over the frying pan every morning. Harvard taught me to think big. My kids made me learn that we could pack away our house, we could put things into storage, we could stop paying rent, cable, electricity for 4 months, and therefore we could afford a trip to Australia for 3. Most importantly, Harvard taught me that relationships matter. The case study method is done in such a way that peers speak more than professors. The workload is so intense that it actually can't be done by individuals and must be accomplished through intimate study groups. And the Harvard Business School alumni database is indeed leveraged and nurtured to be golden. My kids made me learn that relationships are all that matter. So please allow me to share with you 3 parenting tricks that I have used to help build great relationships. These tricks are to show up cheerfully, to choose to be cheerful, to have gratitude and humor. Choosing to be cheerful. People often say to me, how do you do all that you do and do it with a smile? My only answer is, I could never do it with a frown. My failed marriage left me as the sole provider and only caretaker for 3 very young children, and I was staring down over $700,000 of personal debt. I was devastated. I didn't actually understand how intense and stressful that time had been until I was able to look back on it. Many years later, I was sitting by the pool, chit-chatting with a real estate agent when a neighbor's son walked over and asked me about a sleepover. My son pops out of the pool, runs over and says, "Don't bother her, she's on the phone." And I thought, oh gosh, all those years of working 3 full-time jobs, often being on 2 conference calls at one time, speakerphone and mute, thank you, they didn't go unnoticed. But how had we survived? And we didn't just survive. Each of the kids was thriving in school and with friends and with their activities. And the answer was, at 7 a.m., we were filled with energy and cheer and happiness, embracing the day. Sometimes that did actually mean waking up at 5 to cry out the hurt. But at 7, we were ready to go. Choosing cheer. Gratitude. As our lives settled down, I took one job. It did have a big commute for about an hour. So by the time I came home from this hard work, I needed someone to bring to me the energy and cheer. And luckily I learned that if my children wrote one thank you note every day, could be to a teacher or a coach, they greeted me at the door, not with, "What's for dinner? Can I have? Why didn't you?" But rather, "Hey Mom, how was your day? I love you." I bought those thank you notes by the 300s. Sometimes I didn't even get around to mailing them, but when I did, the positive energy would spread. One time, I was at a birthday party, and someone asked me, hey, tell me about yourself. And I said, well, I have a son. His name is Robert Ray. And I heard, Robert Ray, and this man's coming across the room at me, and he's going like this. I thought, I do not know what Robert did, but this guy had evidence. Finally, he stops. He shows me his phone. He says, this Robert Ray? And I said, yes, sir, with a big smile. This is a thank you note from your son. He was thanking me for our sports camp and professing his faith at the same time. This is why we do what we do. Gratitude, it matters. Humor. Mishaps do happen, and humor heals. I told you that sometimes I forget to actually mail the thank you notes. Well, that's because I didn't have the address handy. So I decided to outsmart myself, and I decided to write down sort of our core people, nieces and nephews. I put their name and the address, and I'd stamp the envelope and just sit it over on the credenza. Well, unfortunately, last month when we moved, I'd forgotten my outsmarting of myself, and I just popped 3 of those envelopes right in the mail, thinking they were written thank you notes. Well, imagine the shock when my precious nephew, on his birthday, gets to the mailbox to find an empty note. April Fools, we said, and psst, have you heard of invisible ink? Humor. I am so grateful for the chance to be with you here at TEDx. I just thank you for the audience, and I want to leave with you a little gift of humor. My latest story was, I was reading an Easter story about Jesus praying in the Olive Garden, only to be interrupted with, wow, I had no idea that restaurant was so old. So how about you? Could cheer, gratitude, and humor perhaps be a breakthrough for your career as well?